the journey from codependency to authenticity, and it can be a long one. If we have healthy parents, the healthy parents will validate the child. They will validate the child's feelings, their needs, their desires, their preferences, what's important to them, and their way of doing things. So the child gets that kind of mirroring back. Oh, this is who I am. This is what I like. And they start to develop, that core sense of self, and they understand that their parents accept them just as they are. They don't need to change themselves. Well, of course, they might need to, change some behaviors that their parents, because their parents are going to set healthy boundaries. But basically, the child is able to be themselves in that family. Now, if you have narcissistic parents, the parents do the exact opposite. They invalidate their child and they negate who their child is. So they will negate a child's feelings, a child's needs, their desires, their preferences, how they do things, everything. So the child just starts to feel like, I'm wrong, I'm doing it wrong, I'm not good enough. And the child then believes that they believe my authentic self is unacceptable. So I need to be different in order to fit in. And that child will repress the feelings, and they will hide the parts of themselves that they think are unacceptable, or that their parent sees as wrong or silly or inadequate or weak. And then the child, really loses a sense of who they are. They lose their identity. They really become this kind of non-person. And, they're constantly focused on the outside. They're constantly outwardly focused on their parents and how do their parents want them to be. So they're looking at their parents' facial expressions and their gestures and, the intonation of their voice. And, okay, my parent, seemed to like me being that way, so I'm going to try and be a little bit like that. Well, my parent seems displeased when I behave like that, so I'm going to tone that down or hide that. And so it's this constant outward kind of focus, and that is what people pleasing is, rather than like a healthy child who would be inwardly focused and focused on their feelings and their needs, and that's what their parents can help them to do. So this child that grows up with narcissistic parents develops a really deep sense of shame. It's a really deep sense of shame, and feel that they have to constantly, they're constantly repressing that true self, which they have been led to believe is unworthy and unacceptable and inadequate and even despicable. And so, they basically walk around, with this false self and a mask and trying to hide all these parts of themselves. And it's exhausting, just doing that, to trying to move around in the world and constantly be monitoring your parents to try and see what they like and what pleases them. And that becomes the, if you're a child of narcissistic parents, that becomes your world. So when you grow up, and if you haven't healed yet from this, then, I'm kind of telling my story, but, you might just find yourself floating around, drifting around in life, just going from situation to situation, relationship to relationship, not really knowing who you are. And you become this kind of chameleon, you end up, changing yourself, altering parts of yourself in order to try to belong to, maybe a friendship or something. And so, you think, oh, this person wants me to be green, I'll be green. This person wants me to be yellow, I'll be yellow. This person wants me to be pink and purple polka dots, I'll be that, whatever seems to work, to try and, because that's what you're taught that you have to change yourself in order to have a relationship or a job or, anything that involves interaction with people. And so, of course, underneath all this is there's going to be a building of so many emotions, and especially like, anxiety and depression, just so many feelings have been like, pressed down, repressed. And eventually what usually happens is that adult child will hit kind of a bottom. I know that's what I did. I eventually just, hit the bottom. Okay, I need to make some changes here. So, then the child will start to get back in touch with themselves, back in touch with their feelings. What are my likes and dislikes? What are my opinions? What do I feel about this? What do I think about that? And also really start connecting with their core values. And in the beginning, they begin to set some boundaries, and these boundaries might be kind of weak and still kind of porous in the beginning. It might come off more like a request, or, can you please do this? Because it's scary. And this is real fear of abandonment, because of the threat of abandonment that you constantly faced as a child of a narcissist. You were constantly in fear of your life, that if you showed, your true self, that your parents would like kick you out the door. You were literally going to like starve. So, it's a really deep, kind of instinctual survival thing to try and, fit in with our parents. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. But, this fear of abandonment is really real. So, eventually, you start setting boundaries, and you start setting more boundaries, and you might get to the point where you start to ask yourself, well, wait a minute, what about my needs here? My needs aren't getting met here. And it seems like, for example, my friends' needs are getting met, but wait a minute, my needs aren't getting met. And so, boundaries start to become a little stronger, a little firmer. But you may still have, some wavering, some waffling, maybe, you're sliding a little bit, in order still, to fit in, especially to, possibly, relationships you've had for a long time, and you really want to cling on and try to hold on to that relationship. That's just a natural process. But as you grow, and, you may see that you would eventually rather be alone and be authentic than be in a relationship and be fake, because now being fake feels really, really bad, and all sorts of, feelings start to come up, especially frustration and anger in the beginning. So, with practice setting the boundaries, your boundaries are going to become steadier, and you're going to be more steadfast in your boundaries. You can still be flexible a little bit, but you have some pretty firm, solid boundaries. You know who you are, you know what you want. And, at this point, you probably know what works for you and what doesn't. For the most part, you're still going to be learning, because it's all the time, different situations and constant learning. But then you might find that you're willing to just show up as you are and say, this is me, this is who I am. These are my values. These are my boundaries. And let's see who you are, then we're actually, instead of just trying to fit in, we're like, oh, do I actually like this person? Does this person have similar boundaries, values as me? Then we're starting to look at it from a totally different point of view. We're looking at it instead of like, am I going to fit in with this person, and all the anxiety of trying to, instead of that, then we're trying to just see, like, is this a match, right? Who are you? This is who I am. Let's see. Do we match up? Oh, we match up here. Do we match up there? Okay, that match seems to be a match. Oh, there seems to be a little mismatch here. Can we compromise with that? Can we have a healthy compromise, or is this just, not going to work? Yeah, so rather than trying to fit in, the priority becomes finding people and situations that are a good match. Once you have that really, deep sense of who you are, what your values are, and yeah, just a deep sense of your authentic self. So that, I feel like, is kind of in a nutshell, just what I've learned in terms of the journey from being, and I'm still, I still have codependent tendencies, and they will pop out, I'm sure, time to time. Like, I don't know, it's a process. So, but basically from codependency to, a more and more authentic person in the world. And none of this is easy. So yeah, really, just give yourself a pat on the back today and say, wow, look at how far you've come. And, wherever you are, look at where you were 6 months ago and look at where you are today, and go, wow, notice the shifts, notice the progress, because that's important too. So yes, thank you so much. I am wishing you many, many blessings on your journey of healing and awakening. And I am Davina Shamaya at Boldness Blooming. Thanks for watching.